With just a single directional lock at the start, the prey is left with almost no path to escape. As the entire pack closes in at once, even other predators struggle to turn away in time. The wild dog is not the strongest, but it rarely acts as a scattered individual. That coordinated formation is what makes it one of the most efficient hunting packs in nature. What turns the wild dog into a true tactical nightmare of the wild? The spotted hyena is one of the toughest rivals on the African savanna. Weighing around 190 pounds, with powerful jaws and remarkable endurance, it is not just an opportunistic feeder, but a direct competitor to the African wild dog within the same territory. In that wild landscape, the two sides constantly clash over food, space, and control of the hunting rhythm. As the wild dogs finish a chase and the pack gathers around the result, silhouettes of hyenas begin to appear along the edge of the low grass. At first, it is only a cautious approach, but as more individuals join, the pressure quickly shifts. With nearly double the body mass advantage, the hyenas begin to assert themselves. They close in step by step, using persistence and collective weight to wear down the distance. But wild dogs rarely give up a meal without a response. The pack activates a coordinated, multi-point system, maintaining space through short, controlled vocal signals. One side relies on overwhelming strength, the other on speed and seamless cohesion. With bursts reaching about 44 miles per hour, the wild dogs shift direction constantly, applying pressure to any hyena that falls out of sync, then pulling back at the right moment. As a result, the outcome is often decided not by a final overpowering push, but by which side loses rhythm first. For the wild dogs, holding on to a meal also means holding on to a chance for the entire pack to survive. On the African plains, the African wild dog often targets medium-sized antelope. Among them, the impala remains one of the most frequent. Fast, highly agile, and capable of sharp directional changes, the impala can reach about 50 miles per hour in short bursts, enough to throw many predators off rhythm within the first few seconds. For that reason, wild dogs rarely commit to an uncalculated chase. They often select individuals that drift from the herd, then activate the coordinated hunting pattern that defines the pack. One group follows from behind, another cuts across the escape route, while the rest maintain pressure to gradually close down the running space. Despite weighing only around 80 pounds, wild dogs possess long legs, large lungs, and exceptional endurance. They do not need to win with the first burst of speed. They succeed by sustaining the pursuit longer than their opponent can endure. As the impala begins to tire, it still attempts to change direction, slip into dense brush, or move toward water for support. But experienced wild dog packs do not rush. They spread out, adjust direction, and even enter the water when needed, tightening the rhythm of the chase to its final moments. The surface breaks, and the margin for escape continues to narrow. It is this strategy of wearing down movement through constant pressure that creates the difference. As a result, wild dogs have become one of the most persistent threats to African antelope. The lion stands as a symbol of power on the African savanna. Weighing around 420 pounds, with strong muscles and forceful advances, it is a presence that most other predators approach with caution. For the African wild dog, this is not only a major rival within the same territory, but also a direct threat to pups and the future of the entire pack. Many encounters begin when wild dogs are hunting in areas patrolled by a male lion. A single unexpected appearance is enough to disrupt their formation. From that moment, the rhythm of the hunt shifts into one of escape. Each foraging effort becomes more cautious. If they detect the scent or silhouette of a lion nearby, wild dogs are ready to abandon their catch to maintain distance, understanding that some opponents cannot be challenged through risk alone. But when it comes to protecting their young or a hard-earned meal, wild dogs respond with deliberate pressure. When facing a solitary lioness or one with cubs, a pack of 15 to 20 individuals may surround from multiple directions. They vocalize, move in, then withdraw quickly with speed. Rather than confronting directly, they turn the space around the lion into a constantly shifting maze. The lion is powerful, but it is not built for extended pursuits. Wild dogs recognize that slowing rhythm and increase pressure through endurance and coordinated discipline. The encounter often ends when the lion chooses to withdraw, conserving energy. In the harsh, semi-arid regions, the oryx stands as a symbol of endurance. Weighing around 450 pounds and equipped with straight horns over 3 feet long, it represents a true survivor of the wild. A single, well-timed lowering of its head is often enough to make many predators hesitate. Yet when driven by the need to survive, the African wild dog may still choose such a challenging target. The encounter often begins when a lone oryx moves away from the safety of its group. At first, its composure helps maintain the advantage. It pivots, lowers its head, and responds firmly to any wild dog that approaches too closely. But that advantage does not last forever. Wild dogs do not confront the horns directly. They spread out, approach from multiple angles, and withdraw the moment the oryx turns to respond. As the encounter continues, the oryx's defensive rhythm begins to slow, while the pack gradually gains access to space behind it. The result of such a hunt provides a significant source of energy, enough to sustain the entire pack after a demanding effort. Along river systems, crocodiles are masters of ambush at the boundary between water and land. With one of the strongest bite forces ever recorded among living animals, they turn the river's edge into one of the most dangerous places on the savanna. For wild dogs, that risk often appears when a hunt is pushed close to the water. Prey may rush into the shallows in search of escape, while the pack must decide in an instant whether to maintain pressure or pull back from a high-risk zone. At times, crocodiles are ready to take advantage of that moment. A mistake occurs when a few wild dogs move too close to the water's edge to drink. In a brief lapse of awareness, the hidden ambusher surges forward with remarkable speed, and the most vulnerable individual is held in place. Yet the pack does not abandon one of its own. They send warning signals and attempt to assist the individual in breaking free. In those tense seconds, their coordination creates a rare window of escape. At Africa's water margins, even highly skilled predators can face consequences if their focus slips. As the first light spreads across the Masai Mara, the wild dog's hunt begins again. Ahead of them, a herd of wildebeest moves through rising dust. A single adult can weigh over 500 pounds, large enough to resist being easily overpowered. Against such a target, wild dogs cannot rely on a single burst of speed. They look for an individual out of position, slower, mistiming a turn, or pushed away from the herd's safety. When the opportunity appears, the pack spreads out, maintains distance, and applies pressure from multiple directions in turn. This rotating pursuit strategy, combined with remarkable endurance, allows them to reach a hunting success rate of up to around 80% under favorable conditions. But their true strength is not just speed, it is discipline within the formation. Victory does not belong only to the fastest, but to the pack that waits for the right moment. In Africa, the warthog appears as a small but resilient animal. An adult can weigh around 200 pounds, and its curved tusks make it a difficult target to approach. Although it often lives in family groups, it maintains a high level of defensive awareness, especially when young are nearby. For the African wild dog, this is not a hunt that can be resolved by speed alone. The pack must read every opening, every movement, and every moment when the warthog shifts away from a safe position. They do not charge directly, but spread out, approach from multiple sides, then pull back at the right time to avoid defensive reactions. The encounter builds gradually as the prey changes direction repeatedly, trying to maintain distance from the pack. But wild dogs are known for sustaining pressure. When one individual falls out of rhythm, the formation closes in, turning coordination into a decisive advantage. The sky suddenly shifts rhythm as a predator dives at wind-tearing speed. In just moments, control changes hands, and the encounter ignites instantly. Each approach is relentless, precise, and creates pressure that cannot be avoided. So, among birds of prey, which one truly stands as the ultimate symbol of power? From coastal cliffs to towering buildings in the heart of cities, the peregrine falcon stands as a symbol of near absolute speed. With a wingspan of less than 4 feet and a body that is not especially large, this bird does not overwhelm through size, but through the way it turns open sky into an almost flawless flight path. This predator often targets flocks such as pigeons, starlings, or small ducks. From a favorable height, the peregrine falcon locks onto the target's direction, then drops along an extremely steep path before adjusting its body in the final second. These dives can exceed 200 miles per hour, one of the most remarkable speeds ever recorded in the animal world. In that moment, success does not depend on prolonged endurance, and there is no room for error. If it catches more than it needs, it sometimes stores the remainder in a safe place and returns later, a choice that helps conserve energy during less favorable hunting days. That efficient decision-making is part of what makes the peregrine falcon one of the most effective aerial hunters in the bird world. At times, it also puts pressure on even larger birds, such as the great blue heron, not to hunt them, but to assert control over the airspace. That is why the peregrine falcon's power does not lie in size, but in speed, timing, and the resolve to push beyond limits. Among the giant cactus forests of the Sonoran Desert, the Harris's hawk appears as a rare exception in the world of birds of prey. It does not rely on survival alone. With a wingspan of about 3.5 feet, this bird stands out for its family group lifestyle and its remarkably tight coordination. When a jackrabbit comes into view, the hunt begins with clearly defined roles. There is no disorder. Each individual holds its own position. One blocks the escape route, another applies pressure from the side. At an approach speed of around 30 miles per hour, they take turns diving in repeated succession, leaving the target with almost no time to adjust. Their greatest advantage lies in talons, with a gripping force of about 200 pounds per square inch, enough to create a decisive edge in the final moment. Across the African grasslands, the secretary bird appears as a figure both elegant and commanding. Standing over 4 feet tall, with long black lashes and a calm, deliberate stride, this bird spends most of its life on the ground rather than in the sky. Yet behind that striking appearance is a highly specialized hunter, equipped by nature with remarkably effective tools for survival. Its most iconic prey is often snakes. When it detects movement through the low grass, the secretary bird spreads its wings to create visual pressure, then delivers precise stomps and kicks with legs covered in thick, armor-like scales. The force of each strike is estimated at about 5 times its body weight, enough to disrupt an opponent's timing in a single instant. But its hunting ability does not end there. Each day, the secretary bird can walk more than 20 miles in search of large insects, rodents, young birds, and even hares, targets well known for their speed across the savanna. Rather than relying entirely on its beak, it uses a rapid sequence of footwork to gain the advantage, turning speed and endurance into its own distinct strengths. Even jackals, bold and opportunistic hunters in their own right, often show caution when facing this tall and decisive rival. When the dry season arrives, that same rhythm shifts into another role, sustaining the next generation. Pairs tend to form lasting bonds, building nests together, guarding them, and bringing food to their chicks until those young legs are steady enough to step out into the grassland. In the secretary bird, strength does not lie in noise, but in the quiet discipline that has helped it hold a special place in the balance of the savanna. The red-tailed hawk is a patient hunter, mastering open space through calm control. With the ability to detect even the slightest movement across dry ground and low grass, it can identify a target early without any need to rush. When a snake enters its focus, the rhythm of the encounter shifts immediately. The opponent holds a tense defensive posture, while the hawk continuously adjusts its distance, avoiding rapid reactions and waiting for the right moment. In this encounter, the advantage lies not only in strong talons, but in the ability to control timing and the pace of approach. Its diet is highly varied, with about 60% consisting of rodents, 20% reptiles, and the remainder made up of other small animals. In open spaces, it can descend at speeds close to 100 miles per hour, enough to secure a target in a brief approach, where precision matters more than pure speed. Less showy than eagles, the red-tailed hawk maintains its advantage through endurance and the composure to stay calm in a very brief moment of survival. From windswept mountain ranges to the broad lakes of North America, the eagle appears as the embodiment of control from above. Many species have a wingspan of around 7 feet, a weight of about 15 pounds, sharp eyesight, and talons strong enough to lock onto a target in a single dive. But what defines their status has never been strength alone. It is also the ability to choose the right moment, adapt to each landscape, and turn a very brief instant into a decisive advantage. For the golden eagle, elevation is the first advantage. Along steep mountain slopes, it patiently watches young mountain goats or weaker individuals, then folds its wings and drops like an arrow, driving its full momentum into a short, focused approach. In that terrain, height is not only a place to observe, but also a lever that allows even one slight loss of balance to shift the entire outcome. In the rainforests of South America, the harpy eagle follows a different strategy. With rear talons nearly 5 inches long, shaped like biological hooks optimized for grip, it does not need wide-open space. Instead, it moves through dense layers of foliage to create pressure on small monkeys and sloths. Along rivers and lakes, the bald eagle stands out in its near-surface fish grabs, where precise timing matters even more than speed. When fish make up about 80% of its diet, each approach has to be almost exact. That is why the title of King of the Sky does not come from appearance, but from the ability to command height, timing, and silence before action. On the ground, the Roadrunner follows a survival strategy completely different from aerial predators. Standing under 2 feet tall, yet capable of reaching speeds close to 20 miles per hour, this bird turns the terrain into its advantage through rapid reflexes and sharp, calculated changes in direction. Its most typical encounters are with snakes and lizards among low desert shrubs. Rather than relying on a single decisive move, the Roadrunner draws its opponent into a test of timing and control, constantly pulling back, closing in, and shifting direction in an instant to disrupt the strike. Each step becomes a precise measure of timing. In the Roadrunner, power does not come from size, but from the ability to turn speed and awareness into a shield for survival on open ground. Beneath the wide lakes of North America, the American white pelican appears slow-moving and immense. Nearly 5 feet long, with a wingspan close to 10 feet, it does not resemble a fast pursuer, but rather a calm giant moving through marshes and open water. Yet, behind that steady appearance is one of nature's most notable hunting strategies, centered on the pouch beneath its bill as a highly specialized tool for catching prey. When schools of fish move into favorable water, several white pelicans begin forming a line, pressing their targets toward shallower areas before lowering their bills in unison. The pouch beneath the bill can hold up to 3.5 gallons, about 3 times the volume of their stomach. In that brief moment, the water drains away while the prey remains behind. Even so, the white pelican's food sources are not limited to fish alone. When the opportunity appears, it may also target smaller birds on land, revealing the notable adaptability of a large water bird. But in moments of intense focus on the water's surface, it can also become less agile in the face of the constant risks that remain around wetland habitats. In nature, no advantage is ever permanent. Even a master of coordination must always live within the narrow line between opportunity and caution. In the wild, the African wild dog does not dominate through individual strength. It survives through discipline, speed, and coordinated teamwork. Each hunt becomes a lesson in timing, formation, and survival instinct. If you want to follow more journeys into the wild, like and subscribe to the channel. And ahead, many remarkable survival secrets are still waiting to be discovered.